In the enchanted forest, Sam flew up around Chatso the squirrel as he landed on a great desert in Africa. The sand burned his eyes and nose and throat. He looked right and left for a tree, but there was not a tree in sight. All that the little squirrel could see was sand. As he crept into the shadow of a high drift of sand, Chatso said, "I wonder why Grummy made me land in this strange place. If only I had his magic wonder ring, I could use its magic to take me home at once." Soon Chatso heard a strange whistling noise, and he saw that the drift of sand was moving. Then, strange to say, it disappeared right before his eyes, leaving him in the hot sunshine again. "This desert is enchanted," he cried. "A ghost must have moved the drift of sand, for there was nobody nearby. The ghost whistled, and the sand moved as if by magic." Just as Chatso started to look again for a tree, he saw something making the sand move in front of him. As he watched, a queer old lizard poked its head out of the sand and ran its tongue out of its mouth. "Oh, how do you do?" cried Chatso happily. "I was beginning to think that this land was enchanted and that no one lives here. Perhaps you will tell me where I can find a tree and some cool water." The lizard ran his tongue out again and said, "Follow the sun and follow the moon. Run night and morning and even at noon. You'll find trees and water, but not very soon." Before Chatso could ask any more questions, the lizard had disappeared under the sand. All day, Chatso ran and looked. He kept saying, "Follow the sun, follow the sun." But he did not find any trees and water. At last night came, and the big round moon seemed to rise out of the sand. The desert air, so hot in the day, grew very cold at night. Chatso kept running and looking and saying to himself, "Follow the moon, follow the moon." After a time, he saw someone running towards him. It was Fen, the desert fox. This little fox, not much bigger than the squirrel, raised his very large ears high as he came near Chatso. "Oh, hello," said Chatso. "Do you live in the desert?" "Yes, I am Fen, the desert fox. This desert is my home," replied the pretty little creature. "Then perhaps you can tell me where I can find some trees and some water," said the tired little squirrel. The desert fox shook his head and said, "Follow the sun and follow the moon. Run night and morning and even at noon. You'll find trees and water, but not very soon." Chatso ran and rested and then ran again. The next day he chattered with joy when he saw a blue lake with trees around it. But after he had run a few more steps, the lake and the trees suddenly disappeared. "Now I know that this is an enchanted desert. Only magic could make trees disappear," cried the little squirrel. Chatso was so hungry and tired that he sat down in the hot sand to rest for a moment. As he sat there, he saw a strange little creature coming toward him in great leaps through the air. Chatso wondered if this could be a real animal, or if it would only suddenly disappear before his eyes as the trees and lake had disappeared. But this little creature was a real animal. It was Jerry, the jumping mouse. He leapt right up to Chatso and said, "Hello, what are you doing here in the desert?" "I'm trying to find some way to get out of the sand. I want something to eat. I want some water. I want to find a cool place to rest," replied the squirrel. "I have some seeds in my cheek pockets. Take some of them and you will not be so hungry," said Jerry as he handed the seeds to Chatso. "Oh, thank you," said Chatso. "I will eat some of the seeds now and put the others in my pockets to eat later." After a moment, Chatso said, "If you know where to find seeds, perhaps you can tell me where to find trees and water." Jerry shook his head and replied, "Follow the sun and follow the moon. Run at night and morning and even at noon. You'll find trees and water, but not very soon." Poor Chatso felt like crying. He blinked his eyes and said, "I have followed the sun and the moon. I have run and run and run. I have seen trees and water, but they always disappear before I can reach them. This desert is enchanted. I know it is. I have heard a ghost whistling, and I have seen sand drifts disappear under me. I want to get out of here." "I will try to help you," said Jerry. He felt sorry for the sad little squirrel. "Perhaps the desert is enchanted, But I think it was the ghost of Mr. West Wind that whistled and blew the sand that drifts away. He wanders the desert night and day. Come with me. I will show you the way to a very high drift of sand. From the top of the drift you can see far across the desert. From there you can surely find trees and water that will not disappear as you go toward them." The jumping Jerry began at once to leap across the blowing sand. Chatso ran after him, but the jumping mouse was far too fast for the squirrel. With his long leaps, he was soon out of sight. "I'll follow his tracks in the sand," said Chatso. But when he looked for the tracks, they had been blown away with the moving sand. When night came, the sad little squirrel climbed up on a drift of brown sand and went to sleep. When he woke up after a time, his sand drift was moving, and strange to say, he was moving with it. What he had thought was a sand drift was a sleeping camel. Now the old camel was trotting across the desert with Chatso on his back. "Oh, Mr. Camel, how glad I am that I found you," said Chatso. "Perhaps you can tell me where I can find a tree and water?" The funny old camel wiggled his big lips and replied, "You have followed the sun and followed the moon. You have run night and morning and even at noon. I will take you to the water, and we'll be there soon." In a few minutes, Chatso saw a big blue lake and some tall green trees. He was almost afraid to watch, for fear they might disappear as the others had done before. But this time, the lake and the trees were real. They did not disappear. Soon the camel stopped under a tree by the lake and said, "Here is some good water. Drink all you want." Chatso jumped off the camel's back and thanked him for bringing him to the water. Then, after he and the camel had enjoyed a drink from the blue lake, he climbed onto one of the trees and went to sleep. The tired old camel lay down on the grass to rest. After a little while, Chatso heard voices. Then, when he looked down from the tree, he saw 3 strangers in bright clothes sitting beside the lake. The squirrel had not seen them or heard them coming. They had appeared as if by magic. One had a long, thin horn and a big, deep basket. Another had a long beard with hundreds of sharp nails in it. The last one had a red stick in his hand and a big round jar on the ground beside him. As Chatso watched, the first stranger put his horn to his lips and blew sad music over the basket. Soon a big snake lifted its head from the basket and waved it about in the air as the man played. When the first stranger stopped playing his music, the second stranger put his board on the ground and danced on the sharp nails. And strange to say, not one nail hurt his foot. The third stranger sat near his big jar in the grass. He hit his jar with his red stick and said some strange words as he waved his hand over the top of the jar. At once blue smoke began to rise from the jar. The little squirrel thought he could see a queer little red goblin dancing in the cloud of smoke. "This is an enchanted desert. I know it," said Chatso to himself. "There are all kinds of magic going on here. Those 3 strangers are magicians." The little squirrel now wanted more than ever to get away from the strange land, but how could he get away? It would take magic to get him back to his whatnot shelf, and he had no magic. He thought and thought. At last he decided that he must find some way of getting the 3 magicians to help him. He began to chatter loudly. The first magician looked up and said, "There is a squirrel in the tree." The second magician said, "A squirrel in the desert. How did you get here, little squirrel?" The third magician pointed his red stick at Chatso and said, "Yes. How did you get to this desert?" "How did you charm the snake? How did you walk on the sharp nails? How did you bring the goblin up in a puff of smoke?" asked the squirrel. "Oh, we are magicians," said the strangers. "And what do you think I am? Just a squirrel?" asked Chatso. "Well, I can tell you, I too came here by magic." "But there's nothing here for a squirrel to eat," said one of the magicians. "That does not worry me," replied Chatso. "I have magic. I can pull a nut or seed right out of my cheek when I am hungry." All 3 magicians watched. The sly little squirrel put his hand up to his face and pulled from his cheek pocket the seeds that Cherry had given him. "He does have magic! Yes, he does!" cried the surprised magicians. Chatso blinked his eyes at them and said, "I am a friend of the greatest magician in the world, Gremmy the Gremlin. With his wonder ring, Gremmy can make all kinds of magic." "Gremmy the Gremlin," said the first magician. "Wonder ring?" said the second magician. "Please take us to see this great Gremmy and his magic wonder ring," said the third magician. "I will take you to see the great gremlin if you will make a cloud of your magic smoke to carry us to him unseen," replied Chatso. "Very well, we will make a great jar of magic smoke. It will drift along the wind and take us wherever you say," said the magicians. "Good, make your magic smoke. I am ready to go," said the happy little squirrel. He knew that he would soon be home. The magician hit the jar again with his red stick. A great cloud of blue smoke began to rise into the air. When the whistling wind of Mr. Ghost of West blew across the desert, covering the three magicians and the sleeping camel and the squirrel in the tree with the blowing sand and smoke from the magician's jar. When the whistling wind was quiet again, the funny old camel raised his head and looked all around. There were no magicians sitting by the lake now. There was no chattering squirrel in the tree. There was only a new drift of sand far to the right of the blue lake, and there was a dark cloud of smoke far away in the sky. "Yes, it is an enchanted desert," said the shaggy old camel as he closed his eyes for another rest under the trees. Who laughs last? While Chatso was riding the camel across the desert, Sniff, the bear cub, was hiding in a jungle in Africa. He sniffed here and there as he followed the tracks of strange animals through the jungle. After a time, he came to a river where many animals of the jungle and the plains came to drink. "Who are you?" asked Dik-Tik, the antelope. "I have never seen anyone like you here at our waterhole before." "I'm Sniff, the bear cub. I want a good drink of water and something to eat." "And who are you?" said the little bear. "I'm Dik-Dik," said the little brown antelope, who was not much bigger than a rabbit. "I am one of the fastest runners in Africa. Can you run fast, Sniff?" Before Sniff could answer, someone near by called loudly, "Ha ha ha! He wants you to think he is the fastest runner in Africa. But see who's coming now. It is a big spotted cat." With a sharp little whistle, Dik-Dik leaped over Sniff's back and raced out of sight. Cheetah, the big spotted cat, came to the riverbank, stopped for a moment, and looked all around. Then she raced after the antelope. There was that loud laugh again. Sniff turned around to see who was laughing. It was the hyena. "Dik-Dik knows who can run fastest of all," the hyena said, looking at Sniff. "He knows that the cheetah can run faster than any other animal in the world. Dik-Dik is running, not talking now." The little bear did not like the laughing hyena. The other animals did not seem to like him much either. He laughed too much. He laughed at everything and everybody. His laugh did not sound like a happy laugh. It sounded as if he were making fun of everyone. While the hyena was still laughing, Mr. Zebra came to the river for a drink. Sniff looked at the zebra and asked, "Who painted the black and white stripes on you, little mule? You must be ready for the circus." While Chatso was riding the camel across the desert, Sniff, the bear cub, was hiding in a jungle in Africa. He sniffed here and there as he followed the tracks of strange animals through the jungle. After a time, he came to a river where many animals of the jungle and the plains came to drink. "Who are you?" asked Dik-Tik, the antelope. "I have never seen anyone like you here at our waterhole before." "I'm Sniff, the bear cub. I want a good drink of water and something to eat." "And who are you?" asked the little bear. "I am Dik-Dik," said the little brown antelope, who was not much bigger than a rabbit. "I'm one of the fastest runners in Africa. Can you run fast, Sniff?" Before Sniff could answer, someone nearby called out loudly, "He wants you to think he is the fastest runner in Africa. But see who is coming now. It is that big spotted cat." With a sharp little whistle, Dick leapt over Sniff's back and raced out of sight. Cheetah, the big spotted cat, came to the river bank, stopped for a moment, and looked all around. Then she raced off after the antelope. There was that loud laugh again. Sniff turned around to see who was laughing. It was the hyena. Dick knows who can run the fastest of all, the hyena said, looking at Sniff. He knows that Cheetah can run faster than any other animal in the world. Dick is running now, not talking. The bear did not like the laughing hyena. The other animals did not seem to like him much either. He laughed too much. He laughed at everything and everybody. His laugh did not sound like a happy laugh. It sounded as if he were making fun of everyone. While the hyena was still laughing, Mr. Zebra came to the river for a drink. Sniff looked at the zebra and asked, "Who painted the black and white stripes on you, little mule? You must be ready for the circus." Before the zebra could answer, the hyena laughed again and said, "Mule, painted mule." "He might ask you, little bear, who cut off your tail." Just then a family of chimpanzees came swinging down from the treetops. Mr. Chimp came up to Sniff and said, "That is Mr. Zebra, and a very fine fellow he is. He is not painted. He grows that striped coat himself." "Oh, that is wonderful. I think his striped coat is very pretty," replied Sniff. "What is so wonderful about that striped coat? I think it makes Mr. Zebra look like a clown," said the hyena. Mr. Chimp looked at Miss Chimp and the two baby chimpanzees and said, "That hyena laughs too much. One of these days he is going to find out that someone else will have the last laugh." Just then, a big, long-legged water bird stepped out of the water, flapped his wings, and flew away. A tall giraffe put his head down to old Hippo's ear and whispered something to him. Then the giraffe moved away and disappeared. Old Hippo began to go lower and lower into the water. Before he disappeared, he called out, "The king is coming! Make way for the king!" Miss Chimp ran to her babies, who were tumbling about and standing on their heads. She cried, "The king is coming! Get up in a tree!" "How do you know?" asked one little chimpanzee. "Mr. Giraffe looked over the tops of the trees and saw the king coming toward the river," replied Miss Chimp, as she and Mr. Chimp took the baby chimpanzees by the hand and led them into a high tree. Soon Mr. Zebra held his ears high, waved his tail, and hurried away from the drinking place. Only the hyena was left with the little bear beside the river. Looking at Sniff, the hyena laughed. "Leo, the lion, is the king of the animals. You will make a good supper for the king. When he is finished with you, I will eat your bones." "You will not eat my bones," said the frightened little bear, and up the tree he climbed. "He cannot get you," said Mr. Chimp to Sniff. "A hyena is always laughing, but he is not very brave. He is afraid to try to catch most animals. He waits for Leo, or Cheetah, to catch an animal, and then he eats whatever they leave." The big lion walked down to the river and got a drink. He looked at the hyena and shook his big, shaggy head. Then he said, "Why were you laughing so much? I see nothing funny here. You laugh too much. He who laughs last laughs best." With that, King Leo turned and walked away from the river, sniffing all the way at Mr. Zebra's tracks. When the lion had gone, old Hippo came up from the water. The chimpanzees and the little bear came down from the tree. The hyena still laughed and laughed. Soon they all heard the sound of someone coming toward the river. Sniff started to climb the tree again, but Mr. Chimp said, "You do not need to hide. That is a little elephant coming for a drink. He is a baby elephant. He will not hurt you." "Is the little elephant afraid of King Leo or Cheetah the cat?" asked Sniff. "Oh, no. Elephants are not afraid of any other animal. Elephants are the biggest creatures on earth, even bigger than old Hippo," replied Mr. Chimp. Soon the baby elephant came in sight. He wanted to play with someone. He cried, "Watch me! I can pull up a tree!" And he did. He put his trunk around a small tree and pulled it out of the ground. "Oh, how wonderful!" cried Sniff as the little elephant waved his funny trunk toward him. "Little elephant must use magic." "He has no magic," said the hyena. "You think he is so wonderful? What do you think he can do? He cannot run as fast as Dick-Dick, and Dick-Dick is such a tiny little thing too. He cannot see over the tops of trees as Mr. Giraffe can. He cannot catch old Zebra as old Leo can. He cannot climb through the trees as the chimpanzees can. Because he is so big, he can pull up a tree with his trunk. But that is not so wonderful. There's nothing clever about that. What else can he do with that funny trunk? I'll tell you. Nothing. Just show me one clever thing that you can do with that funny trunk, little elephant. You are so big, but someday I will eat your bones." Little elephant put his trunk into the water as if to get a drink. And then he raised his trunk high in the air and blew the water into the laughing hyena's face. While the hyena shook his head and cried, little elephant picked him up with his trunk and threw him into the river. The hyena did not laugh now. He only said, "Bloop, bloop, bloop." But all the other animals laughed and said, "Now you see what little elephant can do with his trunk." As the hyena crawled out of the water and ran away, little elephant sat down and laughed and laughed. From up in the tree, Mr. Chimp called out, "He who laughs last laughs best." "Oh yes," said Sniff, "and I am glad that it is elephant who laughs last." The Wonder Ring. When Big Bill Pelican slipped off the whatnot shelf, he spread his wings and sailed far away. At last he came down on a beautiful lake where he found many good fish. He ate as many fish as he wanted, and then he put many more away deep in the big pouch under his bill. Then he flew away to see other parts of the world. Day after day, the pelican found other bodies of water, but there were no longer any fish in them. For a few days he lived on the fish he had stored in his pouch, but soon he had only one fish left. "I must catch more fish before I eat the very last one in my pouch," he said, and he flew far away to the sea. But when Big Bill Pelican reached the water, he could not find even one little fish. "This is the work of that gremlin," he said. "He has driven all the fish from the sea so I can find nothing to eat. What can I do now? I was so sleepy on the whatnot shelf that I did not hear the magic words Grimmy said. Even if I knew the magic words, they would not help me find food. They would only make me grow bigger or smaller. But if only I had the Wonder Ring, I could have anything I wish for. I wonder who took that ring. I wonder where all my friends are now. I wonder if the spotted fawn is afraid, all alone in some strange land." At last, Big Bill Pelican could bear being hungry no longer. He shook himself and said, "I will bring up the last fish from my pouch and eat it. And then I do not know what will happen to me, for I will have nothing more to eat." Big Bill did bring up the last fish from his pouch, and what more, he brought up a strange surprise. For up from the bottom of his pouch were the last fish, there came a tiny gold ring. The old pelican's eyes opened wider and wider as he stared at the gold band. Then he whispered, "The Wonder Ring! The magic Wonder Ring!" Soon it was all clear to him. No wonder Grimmy could not get anyone to give his Wonder Ring back to him. The tiny magic ring had fallen into the pelican's pouch while he was yawning. No one saw it, and no one knew that it was there. The pelican had thought all the time that the raccoon had taken the ring. No wonder no one helped Grimmy find his lost magic. No wonder the angry little gremlin had turned the shelf topsy-turvy and thrown all the creatures off into space. All the time, the Wonder Ring was lying hidden in Big Bill Pelican's pouch. Now Big Bill Pelican ate the last fish, picked up the magic ring, and flew away. He soon began to wonder if the ring was really a magic ring. He was almost afraid to try to use it, but he was very hungry. At last he decided to see if the magic ring would show him where to find some fish. He turned the ring over and over in his big bill and said, Wonder Ring, listen to what I say. Take me down to a wonderful place where I can fish all day. The last word was hardly out of his mouth when, to his surprise, Big Bill came down on a rocky island with hundreds of fish swimming around it. Big Bill was very happy, for he thought he would always have as many fish as he could eat. He stayed on the island for many days and enjoyed the food and the quiet of the place. Then one day, Big Bill heard a great noise and much splashing of the water. Soon he saw crowds of seals climbing from the water onto the island. They shook their flippers and began to wobble over the rocks. All through the day and night, more and more seals came, for Big Bill Pelican was on a seal island. Hundreds of seals were returning to their summer home after their winter trips. Since the seals liked fish too, Big Bill Pelican soon began to worry. He was afraid that there would not be enough fish for both him and the seals. He wished he had the island all to himself again. Each day he grew more selfish about the fish. At last he decided to use the Wonder Ring to make the seals leave the island. Holding the shining ring in his bill, he cried out, Wonder Ring, do just as I say. Let the seals have one more fish, then drive them all away. Just as he finished speaking, a big fish leapt out of the water and took the ring from the pelican's bill. All the seals splashed into the water at once, and one big seal caught the fish that had taken the Wonder Ring and swallowed him whole. As that seal swam away, all the other seals followed him until not one was left on the island. The magic of the Wonder Ring had worked again, and Big Bill Pelican had the island all to himself. Day after day, the air grew colder. The fish went deeper and deeper into the water. Soon Big Bill Pelican could not find one fish to eat. The unhappy old pelican sat alone on the rocky island. He was hungry and had no magic ring to help him now. As he sat there, Big Bill wondered why he had been so selfish. Why had he only thought of himself? He so easily could have wished for enough food for the seals too. As he flapped his wings and flew away to look for food somewhere else, he said, If I can find the Wonder Ring again, I will use its magic to help others too. After many days, Big Bill Pelican came down near the North Pole. There he found Papa Polar, the great white bear, looking into a hole in the ice. Mama Polar and two baby polars watched nearby. Have you lost something, Papa Polar? Asked the pelican. Oh, no, I have not lost anything, but I am hoping to find something, said the bear. My little ones are hungry, and I'm looking for something for them to eat. What do you think you can find in that hole in the ice? Asked Big Bill Pelican. I will soon show you, replied the polar bear. Papa Polar waited and waited. Then suddenly he put his big white paw into the hole and pulled out a fat seal. As the bear pulled his dinner onto the ice, Big Bill saw something shining in one of the seal's big teeth. To his surprise, it was the gold ring. The Wonder Ring! Oh, Papa Polar, give me that ring. Please, give me that ring, and I will do wonderful things for you, cried the pelican. The bears knew nothing about the Wonder Ring. Papa Polar took it off the seal's tooth and handed it to the pelican. Just then, the seal gave a big flip, slipped back into the hole, and disappeared. The baby bears began to cry, and Papa Bear was very unhappy too. Big Bill Pelican had the Wonder Ring again, but this time he did not think of himself first. Do not be unhappy, he said to the bears. This is a Wonder Ring. Then he turned the ring over and over in his bill and wished for plenty of food for all the bears. At once the ice cracked open and a big school of fish came up where the bears could reach them. The bears were happy, and so was Big Bill Pelican. After a good fish dinner with the polar bears, Big Pelican flew away with the Wonder Ring. As he flew, he thought of all his old friends who had sat with him on the whatnot shelf. He made a good wish on the Wonder Ring for each of them. He wanted very much to do something good for his little friend Spot, who had been so afraid of landing in some horrible place. Turning the Wonder Ring over in his big pouch, Big Pelican said, "May the little fawn find a fairy band who will show him the way to Wonderland." Strange thing to say, things began happening at once. The ice cracked and popped. Big lights flashed across the sky. A strong wind turned the old pelican topsy-turvy. And then he was right side up again. And when he was right side up again, he was face to face with a little white dwarf. The little queer little dwarf grinned and said, "I'm sure you know as well as I that magic and happiness you cannot buy. But when you give magic and happiness away, you get more and more of them day after day. You do not know me, but I am the Snow Elf. Now, Mr. Pelican, make a wish for yourself." The surprised old pelican, "Oh, I wish I could find Gremmy and give him back his Wonder Ring. Then I could go home to my friends." As Big Bill raised his wings, a swishing wind took him up into the air and carried him far away. The Snow Elf laughed to himself, for he knew that Big Bill Pelican would someday get his wish. "This is magic!" When the little fawn landed on the ice in the far north, he was terribly frightened. His feet went from under him, and down he fell. Again and again he tried to get up, but each time his wobbly legs slipped from under him. When he got up on all 4 feet at last, he began sliding across the ice. He might very well have been sliding still if Big Bill had not at that very moment been making a wish for him on the magic ring. The big pelican was hardly out of sight when the frightened little fawn came sliding right up to the Snow Elf. The Snow Elf put out his hand and stopped the little deer. "Oh, thank you for stopping me," said Spot the fawn. "I thought I would go sliding right off the world." "Who are you, please?" "I am the Snow Elf," replied the queer little dwarf. "Oh, then you must be a goblin like Gremmy the Gremlin. I do not believe in goblins and magic. I know that Gremmy and all of you must only be a bad dream. I must get away from here," cried Spot. He turned to leave, but then again his feet slipped from under him and he fell down on the ice. "Oh dear, I should have known that you could not stand on the ice. This will be much better," said the Snow Elf, and he began to pull long green grass from the top of his funny little hat. Spreading the grass over the ice, he said to the fawn, "Now stand here. You will find it much better." Spot opened his eyes wide as he stepped onto the soft green grass. By then, the Snow Elf was taking trees out of his tiny pockets and making a little woodland for Spot. The little dwarf looked up at the fawn and asked, "Do you like squirrels?" "Oh, yes, I like squirrels," replied Spot, thinking of his old friend Chatso. "Good, then I'll take this one out of your ear and put it in the tree where you can see it," said the Snow Elf. The fawn's mouth dropped open in surprise, and he shook his big ears as a squirrel jumped out into a tree and chattered at him. "Every woodland needs a bird," said the dwarf. He opened his mouth, and out flew a beautiful little bluebird, singing a sweet song. "A rabbit would help too," said the dwarf, as he pulled a white rabbit out of one of his boots. "I can't believe what I see. This is all like a strange but happy dream," said Spot. "This is magic," said the Snow Elf. "Magic is like a dream, but then you said you do not believe in magic." "Oh, yes, I do," said the fawn. "I do believe in magic now." "Good, then come with me. If you believe in magic, you may come into the snow palace of the Snow Elves," said the happy little dwarf, now dancing up and down with joy. At the edge of the magic grass, the little deer stopped and looked at the ice in front of him. He was afraid that he would fall down again. The Snow Elf laughed and said, "Do not be afraid. I have a jacket full of snow. It'll be soft for you to walk on." Then he pulled off his jacket and shook it. Piles of snow tumbled out and covered the ground. "Will we leave the magic woodland here?" asked Spot. "No, someone who does not believe in magic and fairies might not like it here. I will take care of it," said the dwarf. And he did. He picked up a handful of snow and washed the woodland away. Spot was ready to start to the snow palace, but the snow elf cried, "Wait! Your little feet will be cold in the snow. I have some magic shoes for you. With these magic shoes on your feet, you can dance through the snow and ice and walk right into Wonderland." The dwarf snapped his fingers, and a pair of little red shoes stepped out of each his ears and walked down his arms to his hands. He put the magic shoes on Spot's little feet. Then he and the fawn, laughing happily, went racing across the snow.